This is the slate for focus on solutions and creation. Finding your passion through creation to produce. What does that really mean? All it says is you have an idea. That idea comes to you at a certain time. And then somewhere in your conscious, subconscious, or conscious mind, you say, well, this is more than an idea. I keep thinking about it all the time. And no matter what I do, I can't get away from it. So I said to myself, well, what am I supposed to do? What do I really want to do? One day I was at home listening to the radio. And I said, wow, I think I want to be on radio. And there was a DJ on radio. His name was Jack Walker, the Pear-Shaped Talker. And he just, kind of came out at me, and he was making these rhymes and playing the music and everything. I said to myself, wow, I think I really want to do that. But here I am, just in high school and, feeling myself and listening to my mother and other people saying, well, why do you want to be on radio? I said, I just feel good about it because, I want to produce. I said, okay. So what I did was I had these turntables. I had 2 turntables, a microphone, and a receiver. And I said, okay, now maybe I should fool around with this. So what I did was I started taping my voice. And I said, well, I don't sound too bad, and playing the music. But at this point, here I am. My mother is talking to me about a lot of things, and I hear her because she was very religious, and she was saying, well, how are you going to get into radio? I said, I don't know, but I don't know. I just enjoy doing this. So she was the kind of woman that would be praying all the time, and she'd be praying, and I'd be wondering why she prayed so hard and so long. And she said, well, there's a man called Jesus, and he will give you some of the things, the desires of your heart. And I said, oh, okay. I was a little skeptical about this, but here I am. We are not just with humble beginnings. We were poor. But I realized that with all of this prayer, we never went hungry. We always had a roof over our head. We always was able to more or less make it. And I said, okay. So I knew if I wanted to do anything, I had to work and I had to be educated. So in high school, a friend of mine named Gary, he told me about this check for $500. And he said, well, there's a school called Announcers Training Studios. And if you took a test for computers, they would give you this $500 as a down payment for tuition. I said, okay, so when are we going? I immediately involved myself, being not an opportunist, but someone that could hear an opportunity and take advantage of it. So I went down with him, and we took the test, and we both passed. He got computers, but the gentleman that interviewed me, his name was Richard also. So he said, Dick, I have something really special for you. I said, well, what is it? He said, broadcasting. He said, they're opening up broadcasting to African Americans. I said, okay, well, what do I have to do? He said, you have to take a series of tests. You have to take the 3rd class test, 2nd class test, and the 1st class test. If you pass all these tests, you would get your 1st class radio operator's license. I said, wow, here it is. Here's my opportunity to get into broadcasting, radio. So I took the 3rd class test, and it was basic law and information on broadcasting, and I passed it with flying colors. And then I said, wow, now I can take my 2nd class test because I'm on my way now. I'm really feeling myself. I'm feeling good. And of course, at that time, I'm pretty young, and I'm partying and having a good time. And me and Troy, one of my classmates, we're out there just living it up, ready to take the 2nd class test. Went out there, took the test, and failed. I said, oh, God, this can't be happening. So I said, okay, that's it. I have got to stop playing around. I have got to take this serious because this is my opportunity, and I can really live my passion. So I studied hard, and I stopped playing. Every place I went, I took my books. Even when I saw my girlfriend, she was looking at me really strange. I said, I'm sorry, I gotta do this. So I took the test, and I passed. I was so excited. I passed that 2nd class test. This was the 2nd test I had to take, and I had to take one more, and I would be on my way. So I used the same formula. Hold on to your dream. Hold on to your passion. And I took that first class test and I passed with 100%. I said, oh, I know I'm on my way now. So after I got my license, my first class radio operator's license from the federal government, I knew I was somebody. And I mean, I just said, oh, look at this. So I'm telling my mother and everybody, and they're looking at me, okay. I'm more excited than everybody else because that's just how it is. You're not going to get the kind of response that you think in a lot of instances. But if you hold on to your dream and your passion, that's what's important. And that's what you have to always remember. Don't let anyone discourage you because people will say, no, you can't. And I say, yes, I can. And I'm not using Obama's terms. I'm just saying, yes, I said that before he did. So I knew for a fact that I could, and I got my license. I said, now I can go into broadcasting. I went out and spoke to a couple of people, and they told me, you have to be in the union to get a job. I said, what? IBEW. I said, well, okay, well, who are they? So I went down to IBEW headquarters, and I spoke to these two young men, and they said, yeah, well, you got to have your card in order to get in into broadcasting. I said, well, how am I going to get my card if I don't have a job? So they said, well, you just have to find a way. So I said, okay, obviously I didn't feel strong enough. So I said, I'm going back to school. So I went back to the announcing training studios and got my announcing certificate. So now I went another year and got my announcing certificate, and I said, this is it. So I put an ad in Broadcast Magazine, and I put that ad in, and a week later I got all of these responses from all of these stations, radio and television. It was amazing. I was like at the top of the ceiling. I said, I'm on my way for sure. So I called and spoke to the program director, and he said, yeah, come on up. And I said, okay. I went up, and it was in Beacon, New York. I said, wow. Went up there, met with him, got the job. I said, wow, I'm on my way now for sure. I started working in radio. I had to maintain the transmitter. I had to turn on I was the first one there. So a couple of times I went in and the transmitter wouldn't go on. So we had a sign on the transmitter, on the side of the transmitter. You know, you would figure you'd take out these books, these technical books, and the sign said, kick here. So that's what I did. I kicked that transmitter so hard, and you hear that thing go, woo, and start right off. I said, oh my God. But that's, you can't give up. You have to have some knowledge. You can't just be kicking all the equipment because that's not going to get it. But I was ready because I went through the training and I was really on my way to my passion. So I stayed there for a while and I started feeling myself again. I said, okay, well, what else is there? I said, television. So I put my ad out again, got a response from a station in Connecticut, television station in Connecticut, went out there, met with the program director. He hired me on the spot. I was in television. I said, wow, this is great. I had to turn on the first person in the studio to turn on the transmitter, maintain all the frequencies, and really just go through it. So the training that I got from announcing studios was excellent. So they prepared me for a lot of the things, but most of it came from my passion because I wanted it so bad. No matter what came or however it was presented to me, due to my feeling of producing, I was able to overcome. It was just absolutely incredible. So I stayed in broadcasting for a while, and then I got to a point where I said, okay, now I need to really, because I'm doing all these other things with other producers. And I said, well, I have some things that I want to produce. So I said, I know what I'll do. I'll produce my own show. So I started the show called Focus. And Focus was to bring attention to certain problems and issues that was in our community that wasn't being addressed by mainstream media. So I said to myself, okay, how am I going to do this? I don't have any equipment. So of course I'm working. So what did I do? I went out and bought a camera. And I went out and spoke to some people and hired a crew. And we did our first show. And it was like, wow, the show was terrible. But that's showbiz. And I said, okay, I gotta clean up my act. So the idea was sound, but I had to get my technical aspects down. So I said, okay, I'm gonna go to a station and see if I can work with a station. So I started working with other stations, and I got into public access. And as a result, public access gave me the opportunity to work with all of their equipment. I had to go back to school again, take tests. I took the broadcasting studio, passed that. I took the field production, passed that. Could use all of the equipment. Then I went for the camera, passed all of that. It was really good. So now I can go into the studio, produce a show, use all the equipment. But again, it's always another step up if you hold on to your passion, and it will take you to places that you could never dream of. So now I'm doing this show Focus, and I said, okay, that's not enough. I want to find the solutions. So I started Focus on Solutions, and that's what I'm doing now. And all these visuals that you see at this point are the visuals that come from passion and creating and wanting to produce. But you got to want to produce more so than just finding money, because money is never enough. So I was able to, through my passion, sidestep the amount of money that I would have to spend in a studio. If I rented a studio, I have full coverage now where I'm a journeyman, and I can produce on the level in which I so choose. I focused on my own solution.
Focus on Solutions is a 30-minute news format community affairs program that explores the problems and possible solutions of urban life. Mainstream commercial media often overlooks local events and issues. Focus on Solutions fills a void created by this oversight. We provide diverse, uninterrupted programming that reaches viewers from all walks of life. We value curiosity, imagination, and learning as the foundation of understanding. We believe in the power of diverse perspectives to strengthen the community. The African American male, an endangered species. How mainstream media portrays constant negative images in crime and drugs without alternatives for positive change. Queen's Real News, editorials reporting stories mainstream media overlooks, stories affecting the community. We live in a violent society, mental illness and suicide, the role that easy access to guns play in creating mass murder and suicide. Focus on Solutions.